What's up? Welcome to Purpose Living, where we will be taking a dive into what it means to live on purpose. I am your host, Estrada, founder of Purpose Culture. Grab your favorite cocktail, beer, a cup of coffee, or tea, and come sit with me each month as we listen to inspiring guests tell stories of how they have made massive strides in living out their purpose. Hey there, this is Estrada. I am your host for Living Purpose Podcast, where stories matter. And today I am on my own. I am solo today, and I'm really excited to bring to light some of the things that have really been on my heart as of late. And as we enter into this winter season, want to have maybe some conversation around winter and what that means in this new season. Winter is the longest season, and sometimes we get very antsy during winter. I'm in Southern California, so our winter is a little bit different, but I'm really learning as I'm getting a little bit older to enjoy each season, to take those seasons and what they want to teach us and utilize those lessons in life. And so, as usual, we'll go ahead and get ourselves started by grounding ourselves. And we usually start with our eyes closed, but today we're actually going to call on just our own intuition, our awareness of our surroundings. And so, wherever you're at, that could be driving, that could be cooking or working. Maybe put everything aside just for these next couple of moments to connect with yourself, to ground yourself. A lot of times we just listen to things and we're constantly listening to things like podcasts or music or talk radio or whatever's coming at us. And I'm just in this space where today I want to encourage and urge you to just take a moment and look around and see what you observe. As you notice the things that you see, also begin to notice the things that you hear, maybe even the smells. And then when you're ready, capture like maybe one or two things that just kind of stuck in your mind, and then begin to close your eyes down or lower your gaze. If you're driving, go ahead and just stay present here. Bring those things to your mind. Keep them locked in. And then think of what winter means for you. When I say the word winter, maybe a situation comes up or a time where you were someplace. Maybe it's a very familiar feeling that you have about winter. Maybe there's a sense of anxiety about winter or joy about winter, acknowledging all of those different emotions that may come up for you. And then in your mind, notice all of the different nuances that particular situation or feeling. Maybe there's a warmth. What do those situations feel like to you? And then just lock those sensations into your body. And notice what that situation elicited within you, what that environment caused you to bring that up even in your mind right now. What were those moments? What was going on within your life? Maybe you can remember certain situations that were happening within your life during maybe those moments or that moment within your life. And then notice your breath. Notice how your breath is settling in your body. Maybe it may be shallow, maybe a little fast-paced. Just notice, and then begin to bring your breath into a pattern as you inhale in through the nose. And then exhale out of the nose and completely empty your lungs of all of your breath. You'll take another nice big breath in through the nose. And then a longer exhale out of your nose. Two more times, just like that. Last and final breath in. Full depletion of the lungs as you exhale all the air out nice and slowly. Our biggest wake-up calls tend to happen in difficult moments, in the winters of our lives. Begin to blink your eyes open, make some movements. That poem was by Ivy Rose Moon. And I love that poem because it really kind of speaks to what the winter is. At times it can be dark. For some of us, winter is a real struggle. I know my husband, he is not a fan of rain. He feels down, he doesn't feel great. I, on the other hand, love it, and it feels like it gives me space. And so we have very different experiences. And so those could be difficult moments in both of those situations. Um, and really, that poem is like, what are these moments where we're in that are those wake up calls? You know, for my husband and not necessarily liking it, what is that telling him about himself? Me liking it, what is that telling me about myself? And so these are all clues for us to listen up, to be aware, to be conscious of those different situations and what they bring up. So today I really wanted to, it's really calling on me to talk about this season of winter, and this season of what is in store for purpose culture, what we have developed, what our vision is, and what will winter lend us for the spring when the cool weather subsides and we begin to get our heat waves that we have here in SoCal, but even just the imagery of what snow does as it melts away and it invites spring to come. So I have this complete, I will confess, I have this like love affair with this this magazine called Bella Grace. If you've never heard of it and you've never had one in your hands, when you have that in your hand and you look through it, remember me, all right? Because I'm telling you, this is probably one of the only things or magazines that I will spend $20 on. Um, Magazines to me sometimes seem wasteful, but Bella Grace does such a beautiful job of asking good questions, giving just good tips, and it's just full of like so many beautiful things that I love that are just things that really kind of bring me joy. And this one from a while ago, I think this was maybe last year's, um, they had this really, and I'm so glad that I remembered it because I was like, gosh, I've heard all these things before, but I know I've read this great article and I really, really want to reread it and kind of reestablish what winter is and what I can glean from it, because I get in these moments where I feel like, and I don't know if you can relate, where I feel like kind of a little scared as I enter this season, right? Right now, this is going to be airing in very, very end of October. Halloween is tomorrow, which is probably when this will be dropped. And this to me is kind of that like launch into what can be a very crazy season. And I find myself longing for January because I want the craziness to be over. And these last couple of years, I've tried to think, how can I make more space for myself? How can I make more space for others, for myself to really just learn and to be present with others? And this beautiful article that I'm going to actually read you, so be patient with me, is called Joy in the Waiting. And I love the way that they articulate what that looks like and what that means. And so she tells a couple little stories in here. It's not too long. I'll try to get through it as fast as I can, but bear with me. Her name is Tegan Olivia Sturmer. And she says, this is entitled Joy in the Waiting. The snow outside my window sparkles in the glow of the late afternoon sun, all champagne powder and sugar crystals. There is a sacredness to a slow Sunday in the deep of winter. And as I sink beneath the gentle waves of the tub, watching as the heat steams up the window, I breathe in the stillness. Cradled between the icy shores and spiny ridges of iron and stone, the winters here are seasons of waiting. We hold on with a steadfast hope that once the clouds disappear, the sun will come out and melt the snow and summon the flowers from their hiding place beneath the warming earth. With bated breath, we anticipate the time when we can run barefoot across the awakening grass and feel the earth coming to life beneath us. But we are patient. We adapt. We pull out skis and snowshoes, thick coats and wool socks, plaids and knitted blankets, and breathe in the cold, frozen air, waiting for the spring when everything will be warm and new once again. If you're anything like me, you are not blessed with the virtue of patience. I often find myself pinning for spring when I know full well winter still holds a firm grasp on the north woods. But if the last few years have taught me anything, it is to find joy in the waiting. Peace, too. And I'm trying to bring that sense of joy in the waiting to the rest of my life as well. In the late winter of 2020, I was set to direct a production of Romeo and Juliet, but like the rest of the world, the pandemic made quick work of unraveling my plans. I was told to wait, and sitting here in the bathtub, I'm still waiting. But I'm learning to be okay with it. Just like I know spring follows winter. I know that healing follows sickness, and there will come a day when I will be able to bring life to a stage 500-year-old love story. I was discussing the world of book publishing with a friend the other day, with one book deal under my belt and another on the horizon. She is an inspiration to me. 2 years ago, I typed "The End" on my first ever creative novel manuscript. And 9 months later, after I signed with an incredible agent, since then, I've spent many nights waiting for that acceptance email. But time and time again, I've been faced with either rejection or more waiting. Bemoaning to my friend, she reminded me to find peace in the waiting. Words have been given to us for a reason, she said. We just need to be patient for our time to arrive. Then she asked me to share one experience in which I'd found myself waiting that ended in finally getting my heart's desire. Funnily enough, I had the perfect example. 6 years ago, I was diagnosed with PTSD and an anxiety disorder. I went in and out of therapists and doctors' offices, coming home with enough herbal remedies, how-to self-care books, and meditation recommendations to fill a small ocean. And none of it was helping. In fact, everything was just getting worse. And then, with hardly any hope, I reached out to my dream therapist. I had my first session with her later that afternoon. After 6 years of white-knuckling waiting, I'd found someone who could and is actually helping me. I sink further down in my bathtub until the water laps against my chin, closes my eyes, and breathes in stillness. Snowflakes brush against the window pane, and I welcome them. Do I want spring to arrive? Yes, of course I do. Am I learning to find joy in this seemingly never-ending winter? Absolutely. Winter is the time for hot chocolate, too many marshmallows. It's a time for hot, steamy baths, fluffy slippers, and wool plaid skirts. It's time for learning, leaning into, and waiting, letting the waiting become part of us, letting it fill us with anticipation. Is waiting easy? The answer is simply no, but it's worth it. I can feel the water cooling around me, and I decide it's time to depart from my bath, to move on with my day. There were so many good things to come. Dinner with Bryce, reading by candlelight and fire glow while the snow swirls around outside the windows. It does come time to trundle up the stairs, to curl under the blankets and flannel sheets. I know that when I awake, we will be one day closer to spring, and I will have another day to find joy in the ordinary, joy in the smallest things that make winter so special, joy in the waiting. she has this quote at the very, very end by Dave Hollis. It says, "In the rush to return to normal, use this time to consider which part of normal are worthy of rushing back to." I love just the so many things that she said in there, but particularly finding joy in the waiting, that really resonated with me as she said that over and over and over again. And that it doesn't deny the fact that, or she doesn't deny the fact that she longs for spring, but there's this beauty in waiting and finding patience and finding those little things that bring us joy even when we're waiting for something. And it teaches us something. It teaches us that it's not in our timing. It is um it is something that, as we lean into it, as we lean into those moments where it may feel slow, that that is something that winter is calling on us to do, is to slow down, to listen, to find the joy in those little things, just like we find the joy in the flowers emerging from under the earth and being able to walk around barefoot in grass. um, so with that, there was another little article that she wrote just before this one. I felt like this one was really important because it gives us that foundation of really finding that joy in the waiting. And before that, she has an article that says finding magic in the dark months of winter. And she talks about how Christmas is like one of her favorite seasons, um, and how this time of the year is one of her favorite seasons, but that it also does take a toll on us. And what are some ways that we can find joy or find magic in the winter? And she talks about like a couple ideas. So I thought these were kind of fun. To linger in the light, um, and to find like places to just kind of be in awe, soak in stillness. That could be, and she said that's kind of a play on words, is like taking baths, if that's something that you enjoy. She also talks about stocking up, that in a lot of areas where there's a lot of snow or the winters are really long, this is a time where there's a lot of canning that goes on, and there's a lot of like homemade, basically like all of the fruits of the spring are the benefits of the winter and the sustenance for the winter. Snuggle down is another one, which I know so many of us love to do. Celebrating and finding pockets of space to celebrate with friends. I don't know if you guys know this, but when you toast somebody and you say cheers, you're supposed to look them in the eye. I've been trying to do that more often. And it's such a cool thing because it's like a connection time to be able to look at that person and basically, for that 1 millisecond, to say, I see you and I'm glad we're friends. Build a snowman. We don't get to do that in Southern California, but if you're not in Southern California, you probably get to do that. And we get to go visit the snow. So I took from that was like just taking time and doing the things of winter that we have locally here. Um, she has a write, read, and repeat. And I'm going to read this little part really quick. It says, "There has always been solace for me in the written word. Since I was young, I had devoured words and then recycled them through the deepest parts of myself, only to bleed them back out in the pages for myself. Winter is the coziest time to write. I wrote my first novel when the blustering winds blew against the east eaves on the house and the snow blanketed the lilac bushes outside. Winter writing calls for tea and blankets, knit socks, and notebooks filled with scribbling. And then there's the reading, curled up on the couch next to my pup, filling my head with other people's stories and words. There is deep magic there, my friend." I love that. This homage to the written word, um, the holding a book, the listening to stories. I love that. Her next one is homemade and handmade. And this is something that I have been trying to do, and I have such a hard time doing it. I like to do things quick. I like them to be really quick little things. So I've been trying to stitch, and I feel like that's like, and for anybody who's older, I'm not trying to be offensive, but I always thought of that as like my grandma's thing to do. And now I know why she did it. And I think because my grandma was such a a person who I think she had a lot more patience than I probably do. And especially she grew up in an era where you waited, right? There was a lot more waiting, and we don't do that often. And so with stitching, I found that like I could only do a little tiny bit at a time, but it really slowed me down. And that is such a great way to really kind of balance our nervous system. So I just wanted to share those things with you. I feel like the joy of waiting is something that's kind of lost, and we are on this slow pace to losing that more and more and more. And so it's good for us. It's good for us to wait, teaches us patience. Um, and as we raise the next generation, to teach them to pull back, to teach them that slow nights. And that's kind of my goal for these next couple of months, even as we're in a space of kind of where the world around us is the hustle and bustle. I really want to spend more evenings kind of just cozying up and sitting together and being together and enjoying winter and reading and things like that. So I hope that encouraged you. I hope that was something that you enjoyed. Um, and that's kind of like just the segue into what this time of winter is. We are kind of just launched our new website. And if you haven't gone to our website, it is livepurposeculture.com. We have a brand new website with all of our new things that we have developed. And that's a little bit about what I'm going to talk about, and how our spring and our summer was very busy. We're kind of in the space of winter where there's going to be just a different pivot maybe this year. And I'll share a little bit about what for me and my hopes are that winter will lend me. But I wanted to talk a little bit about purpose culture. I know I did in the last one talk a little bit about our shift and shifting and what that means to shift. Um, but I wanted to talk specifically about what our hopes are for purpose culture. And honestly, I really hope that I listen back on this someday and I go, wow, like that was a great start. Because that's exactly what we're doing, is that this is a start. And I know there's going to be so many different directions and pathways that we'll be able to discover along the way. But we have created a purposed journal. Purposed is PURPOSED, purpose, which is a verb. And that verb purpose is the knowing and living out one's purpose. And that's not a word. We created it. Obviously, we made the word purposed. But I wanted a word that would define what it is that we are wanting to create. And as I kind of got out of this whole thing of selling clothing and sustainable goods, I didn't want to forget that. I didn't want to just forget, like, okay, okay, we're done with that, on to the next. I wanted to take that same desire that I had at the very beginning, and that same mantra that we had at the very beginning, which was the purpose of people over profit. And when we created the purpose journals, it came from exactly that space. People matter more than the amount of money that I make. Money can always be made. Doesn't mean that obviously I'm not trying to make money. Obviously I am, but my number one is people, and giving people what they need to be able to live successful lives and be able to be part of creating a legacy and a culture that understands how important they are and understands that they actually have what is within them to take care of themselves, to become better people for themselves as well as for others and for the world around us. So this journal is, first of all, specifically so far, we have developed one that is for girls in high school. And actually, this could even help girls in high school, or in college, rather, sorry, in college, that are needing just some tools. And so the Purpose Journal was created with the intention to help kids, because we are in the middle of developing one for elementary and for junior high, but really is to help youth, to help school age kids understand who they are, to understand that their bodies have a distinct ability to connect so intuitively to their mind and to their heart. And that as we begin to understand how those three things really do mesh together to help us understand ourselves better, that gives us kind of like breaks us free from a lot of different things. Now, that comes with lots of different modalities to learning that. And for some people, that looks different. I would argue that you can't have one without the other. You can't have or be mindful and just move and not understand how it's impacting you internally and in your mind. This is a right now is created a 12-week journey into what it means to live our life on purpose, to live out what we were made for and know that well. And so it begins with understanding the body and understanding how our body holds both joy and suffering and what that looks like. It also then goes into understanding our breath and how we have the ability to utilize our breath to guide our mind, to guide our body, and to drop more into our heart. And talks about also our brain, talk about the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system, and how we can utilize tools and what those tools are to be able to balance that. And then there's also an opportunity to understand and discover the deeper parts of ourselves, discovering that we hold so much in our mind and that we need to kind of get rid of those things or to let those things go. And it may not be that we release every single one of them, but maybe as we understand what those things are doing to us, whether they're serving us or not serving us, that we're able to work towards releasing those. We also go through the 5 layers of ourselves, which is the physical, our breath, mental, our intuition, and then our bliss. And we go through each and every one of those and learn about those. And then who we are. We get to write down all of the things that we are and begin to write those on papers. Like we have these little post-it notes that go along with this guided or with this journal that give us a daily kind of workout of what does it look like to believe these things, to put these things out there. I am statements, I am enough, I am worthy, I am creative, and begin to really understand that those are part of who we are and how to develop that understanding and that really deep belief in who we are and hold fast to that. There's also a section about positive self-talk, about learning how to let go, learning who your safe people are, learning who can be the person you call in different situations and establishing those people. We also have this beautiful, which I did this in my teacher training, and so I attribute this to Marina and Michelle for teaching me this, but understanding where we come from, understanding that there is pride in who we are, where we came from, that the origin of who we are, our parents, that even if there is maybe generational trauma, that we begin to understand that we are not that we get to create a new legacy of who we want to be, and that we get to work through those generational traumas and we get to work through maybe some hurt. And so we work through that. And then at the very end, we have a section about gratitude. We have a section about the 7 equity chart. And then we also brainstorm dream board, and how to create a dream board throughout this whole entire journal. So along with this, we have created an art emphasis that goes along with this, where painting and drawing and collaging and things like that are part of this practice as well. At the end of the 12 weeks, we kind of wrap everything up by doing a contribution project, and each group, they get to choose that contribution project, and it can be something small and it could be something big. It doesn't have to necessarily be extravagant, but it can also be really something very simple, like putting together some small kits for kids that are homeless or things like that. So what this really teaches is just this overall understanding that we have the ability to master some of these things and to utilize some of these things so that we can be the best version that we want to be for ourselves and for others. And so I gave away a lot. There's a lot more in this. This thing is packed full of so much good stuff. We have written a curriculum that goes along with it. So if there's a space where you think that this could be something that sounds like, that sounds like that could really work at my kid's school. Or you know what, we have a group of young adults that this could really work for. Or we have a foster home that we have a couple of teenage girls, and we feel like this could be a really good, this could be a great match for them. I am willing to pretty much go most places in Southern California as we're beginning to build this. We also, on top of that, we have created a guided journal that you can purchase on our website. And that guided journal actually has a guide in between each of the 12 weeks. And it gives you everything you need to know about that week. It also, throughout the book, has little icons that connect you with prompts, with journal prompts and resources, which can be found on our website. So every single time there's a little journal prompt icon, you take yourself to, or you would go to the website, you would log in, you would go to that page number, and then that's the journal prompt, and that just gives you a little bit more guidance. We also have the extension packs for the art part of the journal, which is part of the resource. There are the little resource icons that go back to our website, tell you exactly how to do that, but you can purchase those extension kits from us. It gives you everything that you need to complete that. So kind of like the basics of what we're doing right now. So really exciting. We've got some really great opportunities that are coming up pretty soon to be able to share these. And I would just encourage you, if you have a teenager, if you have somebody who you know is struggling, maybe it's a niece or maybe a granddaughter, maybe it's just a friend of the family, I would encourage you to just give this a shot and see what it does for them. We also have developed, on top of that, we've developed a parent guide to go along with this, which gives you a 12 weeks of conversations with your kids that you can be having about the specific things that they're going through in the journal. So it really is this connective piece that we wanted to develop to connect parents to their kids. This is a really difficult time. I know many of you have listened to me talk about sometimes the struggles with teenagers, and the reality is that they're struggling more than we are. So they're struggling with understanding the world around them and understanding themselves, and we have been given to them so that we can guide them, we can direct them, and we can be in conversation with them. And so these resources are like, we're only in like the beginning stages of this, right? I just developed this. I basically brought everything I ever learned in life together. And I was like, I'm going to put it out there. And I'm so glad that I did, because so many of these things have impacted my life in such big ways that I don't know what I would do without these things. But this has been a lifelong journey of doing this. I wish I would have had this when I was a teenager. Because even if I would have just grasped one or two of these tools, I think that things may have been different in some ways. And so that's what we want, right? Each generation, we want to give them a better shot at a healthier life, at a life filled with more mindfulness and awareness of themselves. And in a time like today, I feel like better there's no better thing to give your child or your youth that you have in your home really hope. And so that's really what I am excited about, and excited to bring this to the public. So that's what we're doing. That is our vision. Our vision is to see as many people as we possibly can get their hands on this. And we've made it super affordable. The guided journal is $50, and that includes all of the access to our website resources, to videos, to the journal prompts. It includes everything in your kit that you need. The additional kits are only $20 each. So really, for under $100, you can get your child this gift of a toolbox, really, for life. And so I hope that you take advantage of this. We will be having some specials coming up, especially for Black Friday. So look out for those. Those are coming soon. And yeah, so that is where we're at. That's our last 2 seasons have been plentiful in the sense of just creating this curriculum, creating these journals. So and we're really excited. These next 2 journals, the elementary and the junior high, are going to be just as amazing, just as filled with all of the tools and the necessities that kids need to gird themselves really with mindfulness and with the knowledge of who they are. So this next season is really a season of, I think, is going to be like a thought-provoking season for us as we kind of get into this next portion of our vision and seeing it come to life. And also pulling back a little bit, being able to give some space for thoughtfulness and ease, letting go of really any of the pushing, things too much, the being with friends and family, and giving space to learn. So I guess my question would be to you is, what will your winter look like? And what will the snow of winter melt away to reveal in the spring? And maybe write down a couple of things about, I know that's what I'm going to do after this, because some of those things that I was thinking about is like the joy in the waiting. What things am I waiting for right now that I might be being impatient about? And how can I wait in those spaces? What can I let go of? For me, I know one of my strongholds is control. And so what control can I let go of and lean into a little bit more ease, or a lot more ease, to see that there's beauty in the wait. There's peace in the wait, that we always want the next thing that's coming, but how can I pull back? How can I do something different? How can I kind of watch the snow of winter melt away and enjoy that process, and then be ready for spring? And so with that, I really hope that this next season, the holiday season, brings you joy, brings you laughter with family and friends, but most importantly, that it gives you space to lean into the joy of waiting for spring to come. So I invite you also to be a part of this great movement. The ways that you can get involved is reach out to me. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have ideas. I love input. And then, is there a group of people? Is there a group of girls that you think would benefit from this that you could link me up with? I would love to chat with anybody who has any thoughts or is really in need of this and sees that this could be a benefit. I hope that as you prepare for these next couple of months that you have amazing seasons. I will be back with another solo podcast in November. We'll talk a little bit about gratitude and Thanksgiving, and I will see you then. Be sure to follow livingpurposed.podcast on Instagram for more in-depth conversation and opportunities to get your questions answered and to be encouraged along this path to learning and living out our divine purpose. Let's live purposed together.